September 18, 1987. Night. A scrapyard in Goiânia, Brazil. A man stands in his backyard holding a metal capsule the size of a coffee mug. The capsule is cracked open. Inside, something is glowing. A deep, impossible blue. Not electric, not neon. Something else entirely. Like crushed sapphire mixed with starlight. He brings it inside, sets it on the kitchen table. His wife leans in. His brother comes over. Neighbors knock on the door. Everyone wants to see. They pass it around. Someone pries a few grains loose, small as rice, rubs them on their skin. The blue clings. It glows on their arms, their hands, their faces, like body glitter from another planet. His 6-year-old niece sits on the floor beside the powder. She rubs it on her body. Then she picks up an egg and eats it. Her hands are covered in blue dust. No one feels anything. No heat, no pain, no warning. Within 16 days, 4 of them will be dead. 112,000 people will stand in line waiting to find out if they are next. And a city of 1 million will learn that the most beautiful thing they have ever seen was killing them the entire time. How does 93 grams of powder shut down a city? To understand what happened in Goiânia, you have to go back 2 years, to a building no one wanted to deal with. The Instituto Goiano de Radioterapia, a cancer treatment clinic in central Goiânia, about 1 kilometer northwest of Praça Cívica. The clinic had a cesium-137 teletherapy unit, a machine used to blast tumors with focused radiation. The radioactive core, 93 grams of cesium chloride powder, sealed inside a lead and steel capsule, enough to deliver a lethal dose in 60 minutes. In 1985, the clinic moved to new premises. The building was left behind. The cesium stayed inside. A legal dispute erupted between the clinic owners, the building landlord, and IPASGO, the State Insurance Institute. Everyone argued about who owned the property. Nobody argued about who owned the radioactive source sitting inside it. September 1986, a full year before the disaster. The Court of Goiás formally acknowledged awareness of the abandoned radioactive material. Nothing happened. May 1987. IPASGO began demolishing the building. Workers tore out windows, gates, timber, and the entire roof. The cesium source sat in the ruins. No fence, no lock, no warning sign, no guard. A machine capable of killing everyone within a city block, left in an open shell of a building in the middle of a city of 1 million people. Can 93 grams of powder survive 4 months in a demolished building without someone finding it? September 13, 1987, a Sunday. 2 men enter the ruins, Roberto dos Santos Alves and Wagner Mota Pereira, scrap collectors. They are not thieves in any dramatic sense. They are looking for metal to sell. The building has no door, no roof, no security. They find the teletherapy unit, heavy, lead-lined. They load the source assembly into a wheelbarrow and take it to Roberto's house on Rua 57. That same evening, both men start vomiting. Roberto thinks it is bad food. Wagner goes to a health clinic 2 days later. The doctor diagnoses a food allergy, sends him home. Nobody connects the vomiting to the capsule. Why would they? It is just metal. September 16th, Roberto gets curious. He takes a screwdriver and punctures the iridium window on the capsule, a small hole. Through it, he sees something that changes everything, a deep blue light, coming from inside. The cesium chloride powder, in darkness, emits a glow, not bright like a light bulb, softer, stranger, like a color that should not exist in a scrapyard on a Tuesday afternoon in central Brazil. Roberto tries to ignite the powder. It does not burn. He does not know what it is. He knows it glows. September 18th, Roberto sells the partially dismantled unit to a scrapyard on Rua 15A in the Aeroporto district. The buyer is a man named Dever Alves Ferreira, scrapyard owner, 40 years old. He pays for the metal. That night, Dever notices the glow in his courtyard. He brings the capsule inside his house, sets it on the table. The kitchen fills with blue light, and Dever does what anyone would do if they found something impossibly beautiful in a pile of scrap metal. He shows people. Over the next 6 days, the cesium travels, hand to hand, house to house, like a gift no one asked for and no one can refuse. Friends come to see it. They sit in Dever's kitchen while the capsule glows on the table. Dever's wife, Maria Gabriela, watches it for a long time. His employees handle it during the day, trying to extract the lead casing for scrap value. Nobody wears gloves. Nobody washes their hands before eating. September 21st, a friend uses a screwdriver to pry several rice-sized grains of cesium free from the capsule. Now, the powder is loose. Now it can travel on fingertips, on clothing, on the soles of shoes. Dever and Maria Gabriela share the fragments with friends and neighbors. People rub the blue grains on their skin like body glitter. Children gather around. The powder in daylight looks like ordinary cement. At night, It glows blue. People treat it like magic, like something precious the earth coughed up. His brother Ivo visits on September 24th. Ivo scrapes additional cesium dust from the capsule and takes it home to his house on Rua 6. He spreads it on his concrete floor. His children walk through it barefoot. De Veer asks his brother Odyssean if the powder could be set into a ring. Odyssean picks up a piece smaller than a grain of rice, rubs it between his fingers. A burn mark will remain on his palm for the rest of his life. September 25th. Leida das Neves Ferreira, 6 years old, Ivo's daughter, De Veer's niece. She is at her father's house on Rua 6. The floor glows blue. Leida is fascinated. She rubs the powder on her body. It clings to her arms, her stomach, her face. She glows like a creature from a fairy tale. Then she picks up an egg and eats it. Her hands are covered in cesium dust. Every bite pushes radioactive particles into her body. She absorbs 1.0 gigabecquerel of cesium-137 internally. Her total dose, 6.0 grays. The median lethal dose for a human being is 5. Leida has exceeded it before anyone on Earth knows what is happening. How many people are already contaminated? How far has the powder spread? And does anyone in Goiânia even suspect that something is wrong? They do not suspect. They are dying, and they do not know why. By late September, people across multiple households are sick. Vomiting, diarrhea, burns appearing on skin that touched the powder, hair falling out in clumps. But the symptoms are scattered. Different houses, different families, different doctors. Nobody connects them. There is no common thread visible, except one, Maria Gabriela Ferreira, De Veer's wife, 37 years old. She is getting sicker by the day. But Maria Gabriela is not just suffering. She is thinking. She watches the pattern. Her husband is sick. His employees are sick. His brother's family is sick. The neighbors who visited are sick. And all of them touch the same thing. The blue powder. She is the only person in Goiânia who makes the connection. September 28th, a Monday, 6 in the evening, Maria Gabriela acts. She goes to the rival scrapyard that received some fragments and reclaims them. She gathers the remaining pieces of the capsule, puts everything into a bag. Then she does something extraordinary. She carries the bag onto a public bus, rides across the city with a radioactive source in her lap. Other passengers sit within meters of her. The bus crosses Goiânia. Nobody knows. Nobody feels anything. She walks into the Vigilancia Sanitaria, the public health surveillance office. She places the bag on a doctor's desk and says 5 words. "This is killing my family." The doctor does not understand. He sees a sick woman with a bag of scrap metal. He does not have a radiation detector. He does not know what cesium-137 looks like. He sets the bag aside, but the report reaches the right person. The next morning, September 29th, a phone call goes to the Centro Regional de Ciencias Nucleares. A 29-year-old medical physicist named Walter Mendes Ferreira is dispatched with a scintillation detector. Walter arrives at the health office. He parks his car, steps out, reaches back inside for the scintillation detector, turns it on while still standing in the parking lot. The needle jumps. He is 40 meters from the building. He has not stepped through the front door. He has not entered the hallway. He has not seen the bag, and the detector is already climbing. He takes a step closer. The needle goes higher. Another step, higher. At 40 meters, the reading is already abnormal. At 30 meters, it is alarming. He stops walking. He does not need to get closer. The needle pins against the maximum reading. From the parking lot, Walter's training kicks in. This is not a suspicious package. This is not a minor spill. This is a radiological emergency. A source powerful enough to saturate a detector from 40 meters away is powerful enough to kill everyone in the building. He orders immediate evacuation, calls CNN, the National Nuclear Energy Commission, seals the area. If you're following this story, subscribe. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. By nightfall on September 29th, the Brazilian government knows that Goiânia has a catastrophic contamination event. 16 days after Roberto punctured the capsule. 13 days after De Veer brought it into his kitchen. 4 days after Leida ate an egg with cesium on her hands. But here is what nobody expected. The discovery does not end the crisis. It reveals how massive the crisis already is. Emergency screening begins the next day. The Estadio Olímpico in Goiânia is converted into a mass triage center. People line up by the thousands. 112,000 people are screened for radiation contamination over the following weeks. 112,000. The numbers come back. 249 people have significant contamination. 129 have internal contamination, radioactive cesium inside their bodies. 20 people show signs of acute radiation sickness requiring immediate treatment. And the contamination map keeps expanding. 85 houses are found to be significantly contaminated. 14 cars, 3 buses, 42 residences with contaminated surfaces, soil, walls, floors, furniture, 5 pigs, 50,000 rolls of toilet paper in a warehouse near one of the contaminated sites. The cesium did not stay in one place. It traveled on hands, on shoes, on clothing. Every surface anyone touched after touching the powder became a new source. Door handles, bus seats, kitchen tables, sidewalks. October 14th, Roberto dos Santos Alves, the man who punctured the capsule, undergoes partial amputation of his right forearm, the arm that held the screwdriver. The flesh is too damaged to save. Goiânia is in panic, not just the contaminated neighborhoods, the entire city. Hotels in other Brazilian states refuse guests with Goiás license plates. Airports single out passengers from Goiânia for additional screening. Taxi drivers in São Paulo refuse fares who mention Goiás. Produce from the state goes unsold in markets across Brazil. Farmers dump crops. Businesses close. People from Goiânia are treated the way De Vere's neighbors were treated before the disaster. Avoided, feared, kept at distance. Except now, it is an entire city of 1 million people getting the same treatment. The cesium contaminated bodies. The fear contaminated everything else. October 23, 1987. Lady des Neves Ferreira dies at hospital. Cause of death: septicemia and generalized infection. Her body swelled in the upper half. Her hair fell out. Her kidneys failed. Her lungs failed. Internal bleeding spread through her organs. In her final days, hospital staff avoided her room. They were afraid, because the adults around her feared that her body was still dangerous, that even touching her could contaminate them. The same day, Maria Gabriela Ferreira dies, 37 years old, the woman who figured it out, the woman who carried the cesium across the city in a bag on a public bus to save her family. Hair loss, internal bleeding from her limbs, her eyes, her digestive tract, mental confusion, renal failure. Dose: 5.7 grays. She saved Goiânia. She made the connection no doctor made. She took the bus. She walked into the office. She said the words, and she died for it. 4 dead in 6 days. And then comes the burial. Lada's coffin is made of fiberglass lined with lead. The radiation from her body is still measurable. Even dead, she is dangerous to anyone standing too close for too long. At the cemetery in Goiânia, over 2,000 people gather. They are not there to mourn. They are there to stop the burial. They throw stones, bricks. They block the road to the gravesite. They do not want Lady buried in their cemetery. They believe her body will contaminate the soil. The burial proceeds under police escort. The coffin goes into the ground, lead-lined, sealed, buried with the fear of an entire city pressing down on top of it. The cleanup takes months. 7 houses demolished. Not cleaned, demolished. Every wall, every floor, every piece of furniture removed, crushed, and sealed. Topsoil scraped from yards and streets. Roofs removed from 2 more houses. Floors treated with acid. Plumbing pulled and examined. 1,343 metal boxes. 10 specialized containers. All of it transported to Abadia de Goiás, 23 kilometers from the city. Sealed in concrete walls 50 centimeters thick. The waste must remain isolated for approximately 300 years. Cost: $20 million. The original site of the Instituto Goiano de Radioterapia, the building where the capsule sat unguarded for 2 years, is demolished completely. Around the year 2000, a convention center is built on top of it, the Goiânia Convention Center, where people now attend conferences and trade shows, walking on ground that once held a machine capable of killing everyone in the room. De Vere Alves Ferreira, the scrapyard owner, the man who brought the blue glow into his kitchen. His dose: 7.0 grays. The median lethal dose is 5. The near-certain lethal dose is 8. De Vere landed almost exactly between them, and he survived. His body fought off what should have been a death sentence. But De Vere did not survive what came after. His wife died. His niece died. 2 of his employees died. He distributed the powder that killed them. He invited them to see it. He shared the beauty that destroyed his family. He fell into depression, then alcoholism. The man who survived 7 grays of radiation could not survive the knowledge of what he had done. He died in 1994. Cirrhosis of the liver, 7 years after the blue powder entered his kitchen. His brother Odyssean, the one who rubbed a grain of cesium between his fingers, survived. He still carries the scar on his palm. In December 1987, 3 months after the disaster, Odyssean founded AV Sazio, a victims association. He spent the next 30 years fighting for medical care, recognition, and compensation for the people Goiânia forgot. The legal aftermath took 13 years. In March 2000, a federal court ordered CNN and the clinic owners to pay compensation. CNN was ordered to guarantee medical and psychological treatment for direct and indirect victims across 3 generations. The clinic owners were each fined 100,000 Rs. No one went to prison. The criminal charges ran into the statute of limitations. The doctors who abandoned the equipment, the government officials who knew the source was there, the court that acknowledged the danger a year before the disaster and did nothing. None of them served a day. The 2 men who stole the capsule, Roberto and Wagner, were never charged. There were no warning signs on the building, no fences, no locks. They had no way to know what they were carrying in a wheelbarrow down a residential street on a Sunday afternoon. 93 grams, the weight of a small bar of soap, left in a demolished building because of a legal dispute about rent. 4 people dead, 112,000 screened, 3,500 cubic meters of radioactive waste sealed underground for 3 centuries. And it started because something glowed blue in the dark, and a man thought it was beautiful. We cover stories like this every week. Subscribe so you never miss one.